Welcome back to the Capture Your Confidence podcast. We're here talking today about one of my favorite things in the world to talk about, which is overcoming the fear of self-promotion or sounding like you're salesy. If you are in a career climbing position or if you own your own business, I hear this all the time.
Yep.
All the time. And it's like the part of me that wants to take your sweet little shoulders and shake you and tell you that no one is going to be on the street corner banging a drum for you unless you've either paid them to do it or they are you yourself.
Yeah. I mean, you initially had a coaching business teaching people to get over this.
Yeah. And it's still, I mean, honestly, we would spend years talking about this and they would still look at me like I'm scared to death. It's like wild. I don't know what it is about women, especially in this environment. They just don't want to feel braggy. They don't want to be perceived as cocky, and they definitely don't want to be annoying to other people. So they tend to hold back instead of, they err on the side of extra caution instead of, well, maybe this toes the line of like talking too much about what I do.
Yeah. It's this idea of like not taking up space and playing small. And this just feeds right into it. This is one way of playing small, is not talking about your area of expertise.
Yeah. And honey, I don't know who needs to hear this, but you're allowed to take up space. You're a human being on this earth.
Right.
Like that. Physically, you take up space. You're allowed to be here. Same price of entry that I paid, babe. Okay.
Yeah. It is a very tricky concept.
Yeah.
For sure.
And so, the first thing I think we have to identify is really why women feel this way. I could talk for days and days about society and the way that women are molded to show up in the world as support staff, right? As people pleasers, as sit still, look pretty, be quiet, don't be disruptive. I think culturally and subliminally, women are told these messages over and over again, so that when they get older and they start to find their voice and they start to get really excited about the work that they do, then they're battling with what they've always been told they're supposed to be versus their excitement and enthusiasm and how they feel.
Yeah.
And it gets really hard for them to choose excitement and enthusiasm and passion for their work or their job when all this time they've been told that the way that they will be valued in the world is if they don't take up space.
Yeah. And especially if they're not surrounded with the right people and they do try it, like they dip their toe. And then that happened 5 years ago. One time I went on the internet and someone gave me a mean comment. That will stick with someone
like a brand
forever. And they will have a really hard time getting out of that space.
Yeah, for sure. And I'll be honest with you, 90% of the women that I have had this conversation with, that thing has never actually even happened for them.
Right.
And it is the fear of that thing happening that keeps them from ever even promoting what they do, because they're so worried that, their uncle is going to get on the internet and blast them and make them look stupid in front of everyone else. Because it's really not about the words from that one person. It's how everyone else that they do respect reads those words and perceives them. That's the real issue.
Yeah.
Because that 9 times out of 10, the person who says the hateful thing is never going to be an important person to you, and you don't actually value their opinion. But the people whose opinions you do value could hear it or see it. And that's the thing that makes them really worried.
Okay. So what's the reframe that we need to do to get out of that space?
Yeah. I mean, like, you have zero control over how you're perceived.
Yeah.
You have like literally no control over it. So you're sitting here playing it small, being quiet about your work, not sharing your enthusiasm and your purpose in the hopes that you don't come off as too much. Meanwhile, there are people in the room that you're in who would so deeply benefit from your expertise and your passion if you were only willing to even talk about the work that you do and the things that you're doing for other people. It's like, you have missed such an opportunity. Every room you walk into, you've missed such an opportunity to connect with someone who might benefit from that work. Right.
Yeah. And to really view it as an act of service or offering something of value to people around you.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not telling you that you need to get on the internet with a microphone and say, hey, I do this thing and I'm the best one at this thing and you should hire me. I'm not saying you should say that, but you know what I do want you to say? Hey, oh my gosh, I had the best conversation with one of my clients today. They were struggling with this. We did A, B, and C, and then this thing happened for them. And this is why I show up and I do what I do every single day, because I'm so happy for them. I'm so proud of them. You're not the hero. They're the hero. But when you hear that story, what do you think about me for solving that problem? Right? Yeah. You have to think about the way that you're positioning your expertise. So if for some reason your vantage point of self-promotion feels like that first example, That's the entire problem.
Yeah. And maybe even the word promotion is the problem. And maybe coming up with a different word or approach, because the reality is you have decades of experience and things that come very easy and very naturally to you. Many people are still struggling with. And so the quicker that you can share your expertise and help streamline it for other people, the quicker that you are sharing a service, offering a value, and letting people in on all of the things that you've been mastering.
How many times have you been in a conversation? Let's say you're in a networking room and you're in a conversation and someone brings up a problem they have that you know you can solve. And you don't say anything at all about you doing that work because you don't want them to misconstrue the conversation or you don't want to seem salesy. So you don't say, hey, oh my gosh, yeah, I deal with that all the time. You know, here's what we do. If you're sitting there in a room with someone who is raising their hand saying, I'm having this struggle, and you're unwilling to at least show up and help in service in that moment, then we have to go back to the drawing board on your own personal confidence and the value that you provide with others.
Yeah.
Because if there's nothing salesy about you saying, oh my gosh, we solve this problem all the time, and you're not the only one person that feels that way. And if maybe you focus on A, B, and C, you might find that it goes easier for you, but I'm always here to help if you need.
Yeah.
Like there's nothing salesy about being helpful.
Yeah. And why would you gatekeep all of the things that you have spent so much time on that are helpful, that work, that you have so much data and proof that they are helpful.
And again, if you're focusing on solving the problem and not focusing on you should hire me, you should hire my team to do that thing. If you focus on, hey, have you tried this? What have you tried that? Oh my gosh. Well, you know what? This one thing that we did that was really helpful. But again, we do this all the time. I'm always happy to chat. That's very hands off. Like there's nothing like cramming down their throat about that experience whatsoever. One of the things that I find has been really helpful for the women that I've supported in the past is proof that they're good at what they do.
Yeah.
Because women tend to tell the story that they think that there'll be moments in time where they think, oh, I'm actually kind of good at this thing. But then life goes on or they get a little bit insecure and then they forget that they actually are good at the thing. So having proof, whether it's testimonials, text messages that people have sent you, screenshots, anything that you can look at in order to remind yourself that you actually are good at what you do and you are helpful and it is a service that people find value in, that's really critically important to your own confidence journey. It's important to the sales process too, if I'm going to be honest with you, because people need to see that. But even more so for your own personal benefit and faith of being able to speak confidently about the work that you do and how you solve that problem, really, really important.
Yeah. And also a big piece of the puzzle is authenticity. So the more authentic that you can be and show up as yourself and have these data points that show that you do know what you're talking about and you have helped people in the past, the further that's going to go when you are having conversations with others and trying to show up in a way that's in alignment with your values and in a way that's in alignment with the message you're trying to share.
And if you've ever been in a business model or in a circumstance where you needed to show a case study of the work that you did and what happened from that work, there are a lot of people that I have come in contact with that really hate to put together case studies because they don't want to brag about the accomplishments or what they were able to do, whether it was for a client or themselves. But the thing is, it's data that showcases the outcome of the work. It's not you being like, you should hire me and here's why.
Yeah.
A case study tells the story for you. I wouldn't have to ask you to hire me if you looked at a case study and you saw, this is where my client was. Here's what happened. Here's what we did. And then here's the result of that thing. It would speak for me on my own. I wouldn't need to say, here's why you need to hire me. The story tells you why, right?
Yeah. This is the one time I work a lot with people on this idea of your work will never speak for itself. This is the one example where you can let your work do the talking, right? Like you have to be in the room, but you also can let the proof speak for you to a certain extent and make part of the case for why people should engage with you and why you're an expert in your field.
And, before we said, be the guide, not the hero. Like you don't have to be the person who is talking about how much you can save them, how much time you can save them, how much heartache you can save them. You can simply tell the story about what happened for a client when you did these things as the guide. Hey, well, my client so-and-so, we tried this aspect for them. Here's what happened, right? And so you're the guide of what it could look like, not the savior that's coming in to change everything for them.
Yeah. And that as a listener obviously lands, I think, a lot better to someone's ear. And that's such a valuable approach of almost being like the narrator of what happened, you know, and painting the picture that way.
And the other thing I always love to remind people is that people buy from people. They don't buy from companies, they buy from people. And so they have to feel some personal connection with whoever it is that they're getting ready to enter into a working relationship with in order to feel safe to be able to make that decision. And so your ability to tell these stories, to have conversations around it, and to articulate the value of the work that you do, that's critically important to your success. And whether you're climbing a corporate ladder or you own your own business or you're running for office, you have to be able to articulate these things, right? If you sit there right now and you think that you're not in sales, you are wrong. If you're a parent, you're in sales.
Yeah.
I'm campaigning every day to convince my children to do the things I want them to do. And trust me, I am not the hero with them. Okay. Yeah. I am going to have to be a guide with them because they are not buying whatever it is that I'm selling.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, what a fantastic point, because I would never want someone to listen to this and say, oh, but I don't actually sell anything on the internet.
You sell something, baby.
Yes, you do. You know, especially in corporate America. I mean, right? I mean, maybe even more so than trying to sell something on the internet. Like, you actually are selling yourself every day, and the energy that you're bringing and your expertise and your skill set on a very regular basis.
Sales skills are life and negotiation skills. There's no question about it. And so if you're uncomfortable with the idea of self-promotion, or you're uncomfortable with sharing your thought leadership or authority, I challenge you to look in the mirror and ask some hard questions around why that is. And in a perfect world, if you were watching someone else who maybe didn't struggle with those things, what do you admire about them? And what things are they doing that you don't feel gross about, that consuming, but you would feel weird doing yourself?
Yeah.
Because that's a real good mirror for you to ask, like, where the hang up is.
Yeah. And the other thing too, I would say, if you do know someone who's good at it, is ask them if they ever felt uncomfortable doing it. Because they're going to say yes.
They did.
They're for sure going to say yes.
They did, for sure. And I will tell you, the biggest differentiator for me is just not making it about me. Yeah. I am passionate about the work I do because I have seen what it can do for other women, and I'm really proud of what they've accomplished. And so it's not about me or the things that I've taught them. It's about what they've pulled off and what happened for them when they finally took this seriously.
Yeah.
It's really, really important that you have that level of confidence in the transformation in the work that you do, because if you don't have that, then no one's going to buy anything that you're selling, right? I mean, your enthusiasm is required for people to get on board with you, whether they're promoting you or they're hiring you to do something or whatever it is.
Yeah.
I mean, even convincing my 9-year-old to put his tennis shoes on by himself, that requires an act of confidence. Like, I know you can do this. Oh my gosh. Yeah. I feel so confident in your ability to double knot that shoe, my man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. What a long way that goes. You know, I was even just thinking, you know, when we are up for awards or when we're getting the recognition, and we even try to downplay that. You know, like it's funny, it just carries over into so many areas of our lives. And mastering this one thing, or just at least putting some energy into feeling more comfortable and confident with this idea of talking about the value that you add, can really transcend into so many areas.
Humility, I think, for women is a really big thing. Yeah. And so, like, if I'm in a room and someone's introducing me and they brag on me a little bit before they introduce me, my natural inclination is to be like, oh, I don't know about all that. Yeah. You know, but that's not... I didn't ask them to do that for me. So I don't have to tell them to stop. I can just simply say, thank you. That was so kind.
Yeah.
And I don't have to diminish my abilities to show gratitude or humility. I can simply say, thank you. That was really kind. And then carry on the conversation. And that tells me so much more about your confidence of that, right?
I know. And when you're able to just graciously kind of accept a compliment, you are putting like such good confidence karma into the world, into the room, like allowing other women in particular to watch you do that and not deflect a comment is so powerful, because they can see what it's like to not constantly be shrinking.
One area of practice that I love to focus on for this is picking a thing that I am really confident and passionate about that's not about my work. And I practice talking about how passionate I am about it, either in the mirror or in safe conversations.
Ooh, yeah.
So, like, y'all have heard me talk about gardening. Yeah. I am so passionate about how much patience it teaches me and how it changes me and how much I can learn and apply to what I'm doing in my garden to business. And anyone who even tiptoes into a conversation with me about a garden is going to get an onslaught of like passionate response about it. So pick a thing that you don't sell, that you don't make money off of, that does not impact your career at all, that you are deeply passionate about, and practice having passionate conversations about that thing. And then ask yourself, what was it about that conversation that I was so on fire for that I can't seem to do in the work that I do every day? And ask yourself, how can I, again, borrow some strength from that muscle to lend it to the thing that impacts my career and use it that way? But practice. If you can't do it with your own career, then do it in a way that gives you some muscle flex, some rep for you to practice that muscle.
Yeah. And, you know, also find a way to consistently be able to share, even with close friends. Like the bar can be low because it's got to be safe, but share some of these things that you would want to share in a group setting or with a potential client, right? Like tell the story of a client win or how you helped someone or the value that you added so that when it comes time to say it in the real space, right? The real conversation, you've already kind of vetted the content.
And so, make it a habit too. If this is something that you're uncomfortable doing, then just once a week, start in that small way of making it that habit of testing that and then increase your exposure, right? So maybe the first time it's just in that text thread with your very close friends. And then the next time, maybe it's in Instagram stories where it disappears in 24 hours so that you don't have to worry about it living there in perpetuity. And so increase your exposure and tolerance to discomfort in that way, but make it a consistent thing that you show up and practice, because I'm telling you right now, this is a skill and it's something that you have to put in the reps on in order for you to really be able to show up confidently. Yeah.
I mean, I think the relevance of this topic and how it plays into your overall confidence, I mean, very few things are so closely aligned because this is with yourself, like talking about yourself.
Yeah,
like
if you can't bet on you,
right? Who's going to bet on us?
No. And I mean, trust me, you have friends in your corner who would stand up on a podium and be like, yo, have you met my friend Stephanie? I just need to tell you how incredible she is. You have those friends, but they're busy with their own lives and they've got 101 things to do. And so they're not just going to unprompted go and promote you to the world. You're going to have to learn how to do that for yourself. And every now and then they might do that for you and that amplifies the message. But honey, if you can't bet on you, who in the world is going to? Okay.
Cheers to that.
Cheers. So I hope that this helps you, and know that you're not the only person that feels this way, because we've had countless conversations with women who struggle with self-promotion, but they also want to be seen as a thought leader in their category, whatever that thing may be. And so I hope that some of these tips have helped you a little bit, but we're always happy to continue the conversation with you about it.
Yes, we are rooting for you, and we will talk to you soon.
Bye, y'all.